What if I told you that for under $400, you could get a full Dolby Atmos surround sound setup with real rear speakers and a subwoofer so powerful it will rattle your windows? Everything you should know about the sound system before you buy it for your own use. And luckily for you, I've tested it out for over 2 weeks now, and from the test and using it for watching movies, watching shows, sports, and even using it for gaming, I was honestly astonished at how well this thing actually performs. So without further ado, let's get straight to what you need to know about the sound system for your own setup. First, what is found in the box? Now, of course, you have your main soundbar, which is not only very light, but I'll definitely say I give props to Hisense for making a good quality type of soundbar, which honestly I'll definitely say is a really well built soundbar, and I give props to Hisense. They did a good job making sure this thing is properly built and does give you a bit of a luxury feel, which is nice to have. Now, of course, not just that, but you also get your wireless subwoofer, which yes, it is wireless. We'll get to that later in the video. And you also get your 2 rear speakers, which does give you a better surround sound experience when you're using this for your own setup. But now let's get to some of the specs you should know about the soundbar. Now with the setup, the channel is a true 5.1 audio setup, which is actually pretty nice to have, and it does actually give you a better audio experience when it comes to watching movies or even shows. And the total output for the system is 580 watts, which to be honest is a lot, and it's actually very impressive that you're getting all this performance for the price that you are paying for this type of sound system. Now the audio formats that are found for the sound system is Dolby Atmos and of course DTS. And if I'm being honest, it's actually very impressive to see this type of audio quality with such an affordable sound system from Hisense. So Hisense, you're winning so far with this type of setup. But now let's look at the connectivity for the Hisense AX5100Q. Now you do in fact have HDMI ARC, which I'll definitely say is the best way you can actually connect this to your own setup, but you also have some more ways to actually connect it. You do in fact have optical, you do have Bluetooth, which I'll definitely say is very responsive for the sound system, so that's also a nice thing to actually use. It also has USB and also aux, which yes, there are so many ways you can actually connect this to your setup, especially if you have a setup that does have a lot of devices and you want to connect all those type of devices to this one sound system. But now of course, one of the only things that you do need for the subwoofer that obviously is wireless is just obviously the power cable, but always that is it. It connects wirelessly straight to the main soundbar itself. Same goes with the surround speakers. You only need the power cable and also the extender cable, which allows it to also connect to the other side of the speaker, because of course there are 2 speakers. One will be the main hub and also the other one will be connected via the other cable. So yes, it's a very easy setup to actually do. Now before we actually do carry on, I do want to note that if you do plan to use the likes of the surround system, I do actually recommend to at least get a side table for each speaker, or at least a stand, or even mount it to the wall, which you can actually do. It does in fact include a mounting bracket, which is actually nice to have. So I do recommend to at least have it level, especially where you're going to be sitting with the couch or wherever your setup is going to be. Of course, you also get a nice design remote for the soundbar, which is a nice thing to have, and actually not only feels good in your hand, and also allows you to obviously control all the audio settings for the soundbar, which is a very nice thing to have. And if you do in fact connect this via ARC, you can also control it with the likes of your Apple TV, which we actually do use with the soundbar. But now let's get to the performance of the sound system, and I'm just really impressed with the sound system. Now we are going to be testing this in different modes as well, so you'll actually be able to experience what the audio quality is like with different modes. So let's get straight to the audio test. Now the first audio test is going to be with movie, and it sounds probably the best out of all these modes. It is one of the more used modes we've actually used with the sound system, and it's actually very clear. Now go to the likes of music, it does help with the treble, the bass, and so much more. But of course, if you do want to add more adjustments, you can do that. You can actually do that mainly if you want to increase the bass or even increase the treble for your audio experience. Now going to news, which is one of the worst audio settings for this. I don't know why it's actually on here, but you do have the news option, which yeah, it's not the best out there and does make the audio quality a lot more silent, but that is an option for those that are wanting to use that type of setting for your audio experience. Now next we obviously have night, which does make the volume a little bit lower, but of course that is what it's made for. It is made for nighttime use, so if you do plan to watch a heavy movie, it does not wake up your neighbors, which is a nice feature, but of course, who doesn't have fun when it comes to waking up your neighbors? Then of course you have the game mode, which is also a very nice useful thing, and we will actually be testing that further in the video later on. And then you also have AI, which honestly, it can depend on the type of audio experience you want, but AI can actually also help your audio experience to also be more enhanced for different situations. Now something that I do want to actually add is that yes, the rear speakers are very silent, and they are actually playing audio, but it is actually very subtle when you're using the surround sound option. Now, of course, there are actually two options when it comes to the surround sound. You have Pure, which obviously is the main option. Then you have Pro, which can actually give you a better experience. But yet again, it's very subtle. But yet again, if you do have a table or anything that can keep it elevated, you do actually hear it in the background and does actually add a nice effect, especially if you do plan to use this for movies or even gaming. But now let's actually go to the gaming test, which there are quite a few things that makes this actually very useful. Now first, we're going to be loading the likes of Call of Duty, and the sound is actually not bad. It does have some decent effects, but not just that, but if you do want to also have something that gives you more of a alert when it comes to playing more of your FPS titles, it can alert you about other players that might be around you. But if you actually do load up the likes of Forza Horizon 5, there is a big difference, and there's a lot of bass for Forza Horizon 5 that we will actually talk about later. But first, initial thoughts is it's actually pretty good, especially going through the tunnel. It sounds really clear, it sounds really nice, and I mean, for just those that love cars, it does sound pretty good. Now when it comes to obviously doing first person, something that I found very interesting is just how much bass there is. And I mean, just to give you a taste of it, this is what it sounds like, just with the bass. Which, yes, that is really impressive, and I'm actually shocked that this type of sound system can make so much bass, and this is at a low setting with the volume. In fact, this whole video was done at a low setting, because if I'm being honest, if we had to even try at even the likes of 100%, it will be so loud that I'm pretty sure there will be a complaint for our plays, because it is very powerful. We actually tried once at 50% with the volume, and it was extremely loud. We actually only played it for like a few seconds because it was that loud. So yes, this thing has a lot of kick to it, and I will definitely say, of all our uses, we haven't gone past the likes of 20. And in this video, we actually did the music at 25%. But which, by the way, I'll just let you guys actually listen to some standard music with the main settings that we use, and this is what it actually sounds like. But it is very impressive. Okay, so now that you heard the sound, what about the pricing? Now the pricing is very impressive, especially for this type of sound system. The fact that you're getting so much audio quality, so much functions, and so many modes for just under $400 is very impressive. And honestly, that depends on the type of retailers you do get the sound system from, because some places are selling for $330 or $370. It honestly all depends on where you actually are based. In fact, if we bought it here in South Africa for under 3,000 Rand, which is actually a very impressive price for this type of sound system. In fact, the sound system actually makes it sound like you are basically paying the likes of upwards over 5,000 Rand or even more. That's how good this sound system is. But let's get to the conclusion of this review. Do I recommend the sound system for anyone to use? Now, I'll definitely say Hisense did an amazing job when it came to making this product, not only looking pretty good in any setup, which it does have a nice sleek design, which I do really like about them. It actually looks really nice in our setup. But it's just very powerful. It does perform really well. The fact that you are basically paying a good price for this type of sound system is just amazing. And I'll definitely say, if you are someone that wants to get a new sound system that either gives you a better audio experience for gaming or watching movies, sports, or even just playing some music, this is a good buy to go for, and I do actually recommend this for anyone to go for. So yes, I do recommend anyone to go for the likes of the AX5100Q. But otherwise, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next one. Be safe as always, and do let me know in the comments below. Do you think you'll go for this type of sound system for your own setup? But otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.